Okay, bowlers, we are back here live. We're actually awaiting the start of the match for the GWOC West versus the GWOC East. A lot of the northern folks came down to compete in this tournament, and they're staying here till the bitter end. So we got the names in, we got the teams in, and we will be going live here and start our competition here in just a moment. East and West. Well, here they go. Just like that, we're off and running. We got the GWOC West. We have a 9 count. Matt Hott will be here with us in just a moment. It's on that YouTube channel there.
You get to hear me give you guys a shout.
It'll be on there later tonight. It'll be on there later. Just the finals. Okay, Matt's made it in the booth. We are explaining that we're doing Facebook Live on my page, and it will be on Todd McGill Tournaments, Coleraine Bowls YouTube page later on this evening. And then we're started with a big strike by a lefty on the right-hand lane. Matt's going to go through the names here for us.
Coming out of the Greater Western Ohio Conference National East, coached by Andy Parker, we've got Kyle Moyer, a junior out of Centerville, Dylan Dobrin, a senior out of Centerville, and Aaron Henderhand, a senior out of Centerville. Out of Fairmont, we have seniors Tyler Martin and Keith Schooler. Representing Wayne, we have senior Noah Kunkel. And out of Springfield, we have senior Nate McLaughlin and Colin Rogan, a junior. Out of the West, coached by Jeremy Simmons and Ron Volmering. Representing Northmont, we have juniors Brad Fritz and Cam Rail. Out of Miamisburg, we have freshman Caleb Wilt. Lebanon senior Trevor Bottles and sophomore Gabe Tolby. Out of Springboro, you got a pair of juniors, William Shelton and Cody Jesse. So actually up on the scoreboard, East is West and West is East.
Okay.
They switch sides, but that's okay.
I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm rooting for GWOC in this match.
You know, I used to coach in the GWOC. I used to coach for Trotwood Madison up, I believe it's the GWOC North. And the GWOC is just a very tough conference from top to bottom. They have a lot of team competitions. We start our season over here at St. X against Butler every year. And it's a good barometer to see how we're going to fare in the season, as Butler's a pretty good team as well out of the GWOC.
Yeah. Cincinnati's a pretty bowling-rich area, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Well, so is that Dayton area. They've got boatloads of talent all around that Dayton area.
Coach Andy Parker, the Centerville coach who's coaching West today, or coaching East today, he has been one of those guys that has just been so good for so long that as a young coach myself, I looked up to him and I went to a couple of his coaching clinics, trying to do my best to emulate him. But if the statement "he forgets more in one day than I'll ever learn" is true, it's true with Coach Parker.
Well, I will tell you, I've never met Andy Parker. I will make sure that I shake his hand here before he leaves today. But he's very well known around these parts as one of the best coaches in the Southwest Ohio, if not the state of Ohio, and surrounding. So, and obviously very well deserved and noticed because he's got these boys here in the finals.
And what's funny is these kids know each other fairly well. The GWOC has every season they start off with a GWOC preseason tournament, and then they bowl each other. I believe conference teams do a home and away, and then the out-of-conference teams will bowl each other once. And then they have a postseason conference for their setup. The GWOC is split in between 4 conferences, the North, South, East, and West. South was not represented here this year. We hope to get them next year.
Sure.
But again, the GWOC, tough, top to bottom. Wayne, a couple years ago, state champions, I believe 2 years ago.
Something you don't see every day.
I have to look on the feed as I'm too short to see over people's heads today.
He left the head pin. Just let that one get away from him, but definitely got a nice break getting the 9 count out of that. And being able to shoot at the head pin only.
You know, as a coach, it's easy to forget how much work these kids put in, because when you're coaching these kids and these young men and young women, you're so used to telling them where to line up or how to shoot something, and they do it almost with robotic-like precision that they make it look easy. And for some of us and on the coaching side who don't get out 3 or 4 days a week,
sure,
you forget how tough some of these shots are for these kids and how easy they make it.
Ooh, that was a tough break there. That was a great pitch. Great pitch, a solid 9 pin. This match is 1 pin. This is the kind of match you're looking for.
It was funny. I was taking the scores earlier from everybody, and everyone that went up against either of the GWOC teams, the East, the West, or the North, they all came back with the same comment. They said, this team's a buzzsaw, and I think they're going to make it to the finals. And honestly, the only team that kept the GWOC North from making it to the finals was the GWOC East.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Had a foul.
Oh. You know what, though? If there's a spot to leave it, that might be an okay spot, because with a tough split here in the 8th for the East.
Well, yeah, still actually a pretty even match here. And actually the East, I guess, is on the left. They can still throw a double and take the lead even after that foul.
I think they did flip the names back, so now the scoreboard's correct.
Oh,
East
okay.
on the right. Yeah, I just saw that change up there too. So, and there's the closed frame the West needed there in the 8th frame. Make this a tough game. 225 total for the West is what they could max out at. And
214.
214 for the East.
Yep. Got quite a few people watching out there. If anybody has any questions or anything for myself or Matt, or just ask how anything went, just go ahead and put it in the live feed here. Matt and I can try to answer to the best of our ability for you guys.
That one went a little bit deep on lane 23. Didn't get a good count. Or you got an okay count, I should say.
All right, nice cover. With a conversion here on the 7 count, the West will have a 1-pin lead going into the 10th frame.
You know, and we talked about Coach Parker a little bit earlier. Pins dropping out of everywhere. So we'll need a reset there on the 20 in lane 24. But we were talking about Coach Parker earlier. I want to give a shout out to Coach Boring from Lebanon. Just, you know, again, a strong program year after year out of Lebanon. And, of course, Coach Jeremy Simmons out of, I think Springboro. Another tough team every year.
Yeah. I see Kyle Cook's watching.
Yeah.
Kyle Cook's rooting for
Kyle Cook going for Centerville. Well, Kyle, it's actually the GWOC East that you're cheering for. So
the entire conference, but yeah, you see some Centerville shirts out there.
Centerville is always one of those teams where when I'm in a tournament, you know, I don't want to try to avoid a lot of teams, but Centerville is always a team that I want to try to avoid, just because, you know, they do all the basics right, and then they can make the adjustments. And at the high school level, it's not about who's got more talent, because all these teams are pretty talented. It's who can make the adjustment early, and who can get their kids in the right position for the long haul.
Yeah, that was a good-looking shot there by the lefty. Wow, he throws it good. I think we can go ahead and say, since Kyle Cook is watching, he's rooting for some of his Centerville boys. I'm sure he went to school there. This is the very same program, and all these high school programs. Kyle Cook went out. He won a PBA event last week. So, that being said, he was brought right through the high school ranks like everybody else. So we could be watching one of our next PBA winners here in the next couple,
Oh, for
3
sure.
years. So
That'd be
it's kind of cool.
That'd be cool to put on the back of the program in a couple years.
Future professional bowlers that came out of this tournament. Hey, Mom and Dad are watching. Hello, Mom and Dad McGill.
What I found interesting this entire tournament was hearing how the teams picked their all-star teammates to represent. Some, put it up to a vote of the entire league. Some went to just the top 8 averages. Some are coached by a montage of different coaches, and some are just like the coaches of the year. And it puts a lot of guys together that may not always cheer or to root on each other as the East takes that first game 194 to 178.
And what we're doing here, guys, is a best 2 out of 3. Again, it is Baker. So best 2 out of 3. So
In this law, I do want to give another shout out to everyone that makes the scholarships available for these boys and girls. James Pitzer, real estate agent out of Coldwell Banker. Bowling this month with Bill Semprist. Fair Calhoun Bowlers Corral Pro Shop. Schmay Plumbing. Alan Runkle, former St. X coach and independent financial resourcer. Certified retirement counselor. Johnson Electric Supply Company. And of course, ball donation by Todd McGill Tournaments and Colerain Bowl for the lane time use today. So thank you to all of our sponsors making this event pretty successful today.
I'm pretty sure we'll hit the ground running for next year, and we're going to fill this program up next year.
It would be nice to have to do boys on one day and girls on the next.
Yep, I don't see any reason why we couldn't look for that. We'll just get a little bit earlier start on it and see what we can do with it.
I will say now that there will be a couple changes for next year. This year it was open only to the southwest quadrant of the state. Next year we're going to open it up to the entire state.
Maybe a little northern Kentucky, or are we going to leave it?
I mean, that is something that's on the board for discussion. We had a couple teams out of Cleveland that had asked if they could come down to bowl in this, and just because this was the first year, we kept it local and kept it easy going.
Yep.
But next year, for sure, the state. I would love to have it tri-state region here in the Cincinnati area. GWOC East just puts up 3 strikes right away.
3 boomers too.
And this is where I was saying during the girls match that if I had my guys firing on all cylinders, I don't wait for the other team to get set. I just keep going.
Oh, that's right. That's what they're doing.
That's okay. Leaves a 10 pin there in the first, but a lot of things can happen over 9 frames. But again, this is one of those tough things where, it's now win or go home. You got to get your guys to close some frames.
That's right. I know I said it during the girls' match, but this is a lot of fun watching the Baker.
Baker is definitely a different animal. It's, you've got some kids that'll do great in individuals, and then they have trouble in Baker because in individuals, you're bowling probably 1 ball every 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
In Baker game, you're sitting. You're bowling a ball, you're sitting for 5-10 minutes maybe between throws between the first and the 6th frame. And it becomes tough. It becomes, can you stand back up, remember where you shot? Can you watch all the guys or girls before you? Make the right adjustment. I mean, bowling Baker is definitely tough.
Absolutely. I'll actually run a few adult tournaments here with some doubles Baker formats.
That'd be fun.
And guys have a blast with it. I personally have never bowled anything Baker, other than just some end of league tournaments or just some fun stuff. I'm looking to maybe put a 5-man Baker tournament together here in the near future, just because it sure brings a ton of energy to the building.
Lebanon senior Trevor Bottles gets that much needed strike there in the 2nd frame.
Yeah, they're going to need to start stringing some together here, because the GWOC East is not letting up.
Well, and when you put together a team for Bakers, you have to look at who's got what strengths. For example, I have a a young man. He's a junior this year. He'll be a senior. Revs the ball real well, can get a lot of strike counts, but it leaves a lot of right side spares. And because of his rev count, he's not 100% reliable on the right side. But I have a kid that has a deadly game on the right side, but doesn't hit a lot of strikes. So, never putting him in to start Bakers, but leaving him on the bench to pick up spares. It's all gamemanship, and you'll start to see that here with some of these GWalk teams.
Absolutely. I know, as we said in the earlier match when we had the girls finishing up, I want to thank Matt Hahn for putting this all together. Matt did a ton of work on this. Literally was discussed over a beer and an email that we talked about, and this is what we came up with. And Matt did a ton of work to make this happen. So kudos to you, and
Thanks.
I'm sure next year is it's going to be something even better.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. I want to give my shout out to my program over at St. X and to everyone over there. Principal Terry Tyrrell, interim athletic director Nick Van Zyl, for the support to being able to want to do this season. I do appreciate their support there, and I want to give it a shout out to my bowlers who came up today to work it, running the door, doing the ball raffle, and running score sheets back and forth. They gave up their Sunday. They weren't participating, but they gave up their Sunday to make sure this runs smoothly. So I just get to take all the credit, but didn't really do much other than stand around and make sure everyone's in the right spot.
Well, that means you were prepared, and that's really what it boils down to. Your boys that worked the door did an amazing job. And I'm sure we'll see them out here on the lanes next year, potentially. I think the owner came in today.
Oh, did he?
He was here for a little while and kind of standing back and watching his own thing, and I think they tried to get $8 out of him too.
Of course they would.
So nice work, fellas. Much needed strike there in the 5th frame. It is now time to string some for the GWalk West.
I believe that is junior Cam Rail out in Northmont.
The East is just putting so much pressure on them. I believe they can shut them out here. In fact, they can. If they go up and bang it out in the 10th, they'll have 258. And the GWalk West can only get to 247 at this point.
Bowling is one of those sports where, and there's the other junior, Brad Fritz out of Northmont. I believe that's in Northmont, right? Yep. Bowling's one of those sports when you're as a coach, you can have a team out there throwing at 220, and there's nothing you can do when the other guys show up and throw at 230, 240.
That's right. Well,
That's
leaves
okay.
some potential for a tie.
Good spot for it.
Yep. Well, that young man has got a big future ahead of him watching him throw the ball. Good grief. Ooh, wait a minute. That was his first one in the 10th. That kind of opens the door a little bit.
Little high,
Still now.
leaves an awkward split. And that's the tough part. You've got young men and young women being put into positions, that's sophomore Gabe Tauby out of Lebanon. You put him into a position where, I'm sorry, no, that's the senior, Trevor Bottles. But still, put him in a position where there's a little bit of pressure. And, it's tough out there on the lane. You're by yourself, at least in a team sport with like football or basketball. If you miss coverage, you've got 10 other guys or 4 other guys to swing for you. In bowling, if you miss your mark by 1-2 boards, it can hit a little high.
That's right. As we shouted out for the ladies' match, we want to thank Mickey Heeg for all the work she's done for this. Mickey's been a staple here at Corey Bowl. She's worked here about, I think 47 years.
Mickey knew me when I was a baby bowler.
Yep. And Mickey spent a lot of extra time in the evening this week. She came in here at 8 o'clock this morning with us and made sure all the scores were in, or names were put in right. Made sure all the scores were, ready to go and transferred over to the next pair. Just fantastic as normal. Mickey's all about running these tournaments, and from the back end of this, she does just an amazing job. It's my pleasure to be part of her team here.
You can see now the lane's starting to dry out.
Yep.
Guys are getting tired, and again, it's hard to when the other team already kind of solidifies the victory, to go up there knowing, you've got the world on your shoulders and there's not much you can do.
At the conclusion of the match, everybody, we are going to do the medal presentation for the girls and the boys, and we're just going to stay right here on this pair. We will stay live and let Matt do his thing, and we'll sit back and put the mics down and let Matt talk over his microphone out on the lanes.
Again, just another shout out to all the boys and girls that competed today. Well done. You made this first tournament awesome. 17 teams, 11 boys and 6 girls. Traveled all the way down here to Colerain, Ohio. Got that one a little wide, but we'll get up. Not enough.
It tried to.
But they made it such an exceptional event that next season I'm looking to have. Like I said, I would love to have 30 boys and 30 girls teams next season.
Yep.
So I'm going to go get the medals ready.
Okay.
And I will head up front, and I'll see you guys on camera in just a little bit.
All right. And like I said, we're going to keep them rolling. We'll stay live throughout the end of the boys match, and Matt will do the awards presentation right up here on the approach at 23 and 24. I would say we've got a good crowd of maybe 200 people here watching today. It's been a packed house all day. Been crowded, but it's been a lot of fun watching these youngsters out here competing, bowling with different kids, bowling with different teams. I am going to ask everybody, if you don't mind, hit the share button for me. Give some of these young kids the exposure they deserve for the day they put in here today at Colerain. It will also be on our YouTube page later this evening. There'll be separate matches for the boys and for the girls. All you need to do is go up to YouTube, search for Todd McGill Tournaments, and it will be on there for everybody to watch on the YouTube channel here later today. That's going to finish our match. The GWOC East is the boys champion. GWOC West finishes second. And congratulations, boys and girls, for today. That's going to conclude me speaking, and we're going to move on and let Matt do his presentation. Thank you. You'll have to tell him where to go stand next door to him, so the camera is lined up when he gets the table. Oh, you're not live anymore? We're getting a little team group picture out here on the lanes, and we'll do the awards here in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for a very successful first annual Ohio High School All-Star Tournament. Thanks, son. For the ladies, runner-up, Eastern Cincinnati Conference. I'm going to call you by one, so please come on up here and get your medal from Shane. Senior out of Milford, Jessica Haynes. Milford Senior, Mackenzie Mason. She's not here. All right. Milford Junior, Jessica Norman. Turpin Senior, Sarah Camello. Anderson Senior, Samantha Travis. Walnut Hills Senior, Hannah Freeman. West Claremont Junior, Taylor Neal. And West Claremont freshman, Lexi Stewart. And coaches, Frank Ritzman and Roger Booth. Come get a picture with your team. Your 2018 Girls All-Star Champions, the Girls Greater Catholic League. Out of Seton, sophomore, Avery Nolan. Sophomore, Maddie Littleman, out of Seton. From Mercy, sophomore, Allie Bray. Mercy Junior, Kara Campbell. Junior out of McCauley, Ashley Bushman. Ursula Senior, Abigail Blackledge.
I don't know how long they're going to be on this. I don't want to stay here and just fucking waste time for the next hour.
Mount Notre Dame Junior, Emily English. Ursuline Senior, Rachel Schultz. Oh, she's at softball. No. Coaches, Todd Baker and Jim Robb. wondering why we're on 23 and 24 and not the Ebonite sign, we are live on Todd McGill Tournaments on Facebook, and that'll be up on YouTube tonight, correct? So the finals will be there if you want to watch them. The 2018 All-Star Tournament Boys runner-up, the Greater Western Ohio Conference, National West. Representing Northmont, the junior, Brad Fritz. Junior out of Northmont, Cam Rayo. From Miamisburg, freshman Caleb Witt. Lebanon senior Trevor Bottoms. Out of Lebanon, junior Noah Pennington. Springboro junior William Shelton. And Springboro junior Cody Jesse. Coaches Jeremy Simmons and Ron Volmering.
I'm like never gonna take this off.
Your 2018 Boys All-Star Tournament champions, Greater Western Ohio Conference National East. Out of Centerville, Kyle Moyer, Jr. Sophomore out of Centerville, Wally Jabber. Senior out of Centerville, Dylan Dobrin. Aaron Henderham, senior, Centerville. Out of Wayne, senior, Noah Kunkel. A senior out of Fairmont, Tyler Martin. Springfield junior, Colin Logan. And Springfield senior, Nate McLaughlin.
Now everybody knows.
Coach, Andy Parker.
Okay, thanks again to Coach Matt and all the teams that came here to compete today. That's going to be the end of our show for today. We look forward to seeing everybody next year, and I'm sure Matt and I will get some.
Thank you to all the participants and supporters for this tournament. We look forward to having you back next year. I will have a link for a PDF on the Twitter at St. X Bowling, and I'll also send a link over to Todd McGill Tournaments on Facebook. Thank you again to Colerain Bowl. Thank you.
Great job, Matt. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, I just wanted to congratulate Coach Hott